Hello, I'm Richard Rogers, and I want to welcome you to Unity of Prescott. You know, this is such a living, dynamic, spiritual community that I am so glad that you're a part of it, even if it's by video right now. You know, it's interesting. We began doing our weekly services back in the sanctuary. It's a much smaller group than we're used to, but we know that our congregation is more than just the people that are here on a Sunday morning. That it's not only the people of our community, but it's actually expanding to people all over the country. So we are so glad that you're a part of our ministry, and that today we're going to continue our series on gratitude. So there's a couple announcements that I want to call your attention to. First one is, no matter where you are in the country, you can join us we do it every other week. We do our choir director, Wayne, leads us in our choir sing-along Thursdays. Next one is Thursday, November 5th at 6:30, and it's just a hoot. They're going to mute you so you can just sing as loud and as off-key as you want to, and it's just a ton of fun. So that's in our regular spotlight. You can get the link for that to join them on Zoom. Also, if you want to join us in person, remember you have to call the church office to reserve your space. We have limited spacing here in the sanctuary right now on a Sunday morning. We do 9 and 11 o'clock services, so call and reserve your space. We're also beginning planning on our 50th church anniversary, and that'll be May of next year. I'm going to be talking a little bit about our history today, but if you'd like to help and be a part of that, call the office and we'll hook you up with that. Also, the last thing is, you know, every October we collect underwear for the veterans. It's called Undie Sundays, and so this is going to be our last week to do that. But if you'd like to drop those off at the church office, we'd be happy to get them to the VA and all those vets who would really appreciate that support at this time. All right, we got a thank you from one of our staff members. Diane's has a little thank you because we are just so blessed during this 8 months of this pandemic that so many people have given so much to allow the work of this ministry to continue during this time.
Thank you. I am so grateful for this job. I've put a lot of hard work and effort into the remodel in the fellowship hall, and I just can't wait for everyone to come back and enjoy it.
All right, let's take a deep breath and move into our time of meditation. I want you to just move your focus to your center, to your core, to your essence, to the activity of God in you, to the life force that is the center of who you are. And I want you to feel that life force. I want you to feel that power within. And I want you to feel the infinite number of ways that life force can be expressed as you, through you. That you are the living, moving expression of the Spirit of God. So I want you to lay hold of that power. I want you to be fully conscious, fully awake to the power of God within you. That there's this unlimited force, this unlimited power that you get to decide how you're going to live it, how you're going to express it. Who are you going to be in this moment? And it all comes back when we connect to our center, when we connect to our source, when we connect to the power of God within us. That God in you is pure life. God in you is infinite potential. And we feel that power that moves through every cell and fiber of our being, that moves through every organ, moves through every system of our body, healing, blessing us, transforming us, that we give thanks for life today. And we give thanks for the infinite number of ways that life expresses through us. That we have been given these two amazing gifts. We've been given life, infinite, powerful life, the life of God. And we are also given the creativity to express that life in a way that's unique to each one of us. And that life, this dynamic activity of life, that we can express it in greater and greater ways. There's no limit to who we get to be. There's no limit to the choices we get to make. Life every day just asks us, who do you want to be today? How do you want to show up? How do you want to express the infinite that is within? I'm created in the image and likeness of God. You are. You are created in the image and likeness of God. Take a deep breath. Feel the fullness of God within you. Feel that all that God is within you now. And today we consciously choose how to express our life. We consciously decide. We allow ourselves to be healed and whole in every way. We allow that energy of God in us to transform any limitation, to bless any condition. So today we take a deep breath, we give thanks, and we dedicate this day to the fullness of God. And so it is. Amen.
One more song for you today. This is one I don't perform very often, from an album of mine called Home. But when I think of taking a breath and slowing it down a bit and taking things at their own pace, I also think of staying aware, no matter how things look, that this is a phase. No matter what this is, it is a phase. It is a moment, an episode, and it will pass. And it will recede into the past and become a memory rather than a present reality. And that I always find comforting. Sometimes, of course, I find it a little sad when I think about my boy being, adorable and tiny, and thinking he's not going to be tiny for much longer. He's going to be taller than me any day now. Anyway, so a song from Home, the album called Home, and literally from home. And thank you for having me again. And stay well, and I'll sing for you again sometime soon, I hope. Standing in an unfamiliar place, halfway round the world from whence I came, seeing sights I never thought I'd see, as distant from my roots as I could be. Still I'm home, still I'm home, still I'm home. When I'm lying in bed and crying myself to sleep, too bereft to even pray my soul to keep. When I'm wondering, will I ever see the sun? When I'm worried that the worst has just begun, still I'm home, still I'm home, still I'm home. 'Cause I know I'll make it through, 'cause I know you're here with me. Despite appearances, this experience is just part of my story. And I know I'll be alright if I don't hold on too tight. Someday soon I'll see this will only be a distant memory. 'Cause I know I'll make it through, 'cause I know you're here with me. Despite appearances, this experience is just part of my story. someday soon I'll see this will only be the faintest memory. 'Cause there's nowhere on this planet I can go. No, there's nowhere off the map that I can roam. There's nothing I could ever say or do. There is never separation from you. Still I'm home. 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 Oh yeah. Still I'm home. Thank you.
Don't you love Daniel? Daniel, thank you so much. What a great song for us. We always appreciate it when you were part of building that service with us. Thank you. So today we're going to give thanks for our ancestors. We're going to give thanks for all the generations upon generations upon generations that have gone before us. That we have so much to be grateful for. You know, there's not a week that goes by that I am not grateful for all the spiritual teachers that have gone before me, that have laid a foundation of spiritual truth that I get to teach from. You know, it wasn't too long ago that some of the things that I teach on a regular weekly basis would get me burned at the stake for. I mean, some of the ideas that we talk about now so easily, so casually, those were radical spiritual ideas just a few hundred years ago that we wouldn't even be allowed to talk like that. And I give thanks for all the incredible spiritual pioneers that have gone before us. You know, we had Maya Angelou many years ago down in Unity Phoenix. And she came and she spoke. And the thing that I will never forget that she said is that we stand on the shoulders of giants. And it's really true. I think about all the people that we stand on their shoulders that built a consciousness, that built a reality, that built a possibility that today we take for granted. You know, we see things on the news and we hear things and we read things that just a few hundred years ago would have been so radical that it would have been crazy. And now we just say, oh yeah, that's true, right? And because of that, we get to take even further steps. We get to take and walk in the spiritual truths that have been set up for us by the spiritual giants that have gone on before us. So, but I want to make this personal to you. I want to make this personal to your life. So who are the people that have helped form and shape your life? Who are the people that taught you how to live in a bigger, greater, more fantastic, more wonderful way? Because there's really two gifts that I want us to give thanks for. The first one is life, and all the people that it took to give you life, to bring you into this moment, to give you the opportunity to live. And then I want to talk about the people that really taught you how to live, right? Because not all of us are living the same life experience. That over and over again, we realize that every day is a choice. And sometimes we assume things from our family or from our culture, and we continue to create the same old thing over and over again. And then somebody steps in and teaches us how to live in a greater way. And it really changes our whole game. So today we're going to focus on those two things. Who gave you life? Who are the people that sacrificed to bring you into this world? And who are the people that once you got here showed you how to use the gift? That really helped you learn how to live that gift in the greatest possible way. So I'm reading from our 40 Days of Gratitude booklet for today, Sunday, November 1st. We give thanks today for our ancestors, all the people that have come before us. With programs like Ancestry.com and 23andMe, we know more about where we've come from than any time in history. There's been long lines of people that have led to this moment They have sacrificed generation after generation with hopes and prayers for a better tomorrow. Today we give thanks for all the people that have come before us. We give thanks for all the people who we share a common DNA with, and all those who help build the world that we enjoy every day. We give thanks for the people that built our communities, our churches, our state, our nation. We give thanks for all those who believed in a better tomorrow and invested their time and hard work to make a dream come true. All right. So I want to spend a moment just acknowledging from the history of our ministry. You know, next year we're going to celebrate our 50th wedding anniversary. I almost said it again. We're going to celebrate our church's 50th anniversary. You know, and a little history about where we came and how we started. Unity Fix began in July of 1968 with weekly Tuesday evening meetings by the Reverends Leonard and Teddy Minks in their home. And then Reverend Norman Tarbox, an associate minister down in Mesa, Arizona, attended one of those meetings. And he was invited to come back in September to be so he spoke one time and then was invited to come back and be the minister. He was blind, and his seeing-eye dog was Sandy. There was soon a request that he begin to do Sunday services. So in June 1969, we began Sunday services with a record attendance of 13 people and Sandy the dog. So we'll round it up to 14, right? So in April of 1971, the church bought the property on Summit Street. Norman's mother, Florence Tarbox, gave $8,500 for earnest money and a down payment. And then in July, she made a loan of $7,000 to cover the cost of remodeling. You know, and so what I want you to see are all the people that invested to help create this church that we love and can enjoy every week. That for the last over 50 years now, people have been investing in the spiritual truth that we enjoy today. So today, to focus on the people that have come before us, I want you to really look at who the people are that have invested in you and who you are today. Because what I see is that life is a continual process. Like that we take up the mantle for our little point in time. But all generations upon generations have gone before us to give us the best that they had so that we would have that, so that we could move the mark even a little bit forward. That these two elements of life and living. And sometimes we think that just because we have life, that we're actually living. But sometimes when we really get honest with ourselves, that we see that sometimes we're just going through the motions. And that life requires us to live and to live full out. Jesus said it this way. He said, I live so that you could live also. And I just love that line. I lived so you could live also. And I think about all the people in my past that have lived so that I could live also. You know, when I look at my mom's family, when we look at her people, you know, she loves that Ancestry.com. She's on Ancestry.com. She knows more about our ancestors on her side of the family than, and even my dad's side of the family she's worked on. But for my mom's side of the family, we go all the way back to the Revolutionary War. And for my mom, that was a big deal, that we go all the way back to the Revolutionary War. But we don't always talk about the fact that we also have a gunfighter in our family history who killed somebody before he was 15 years old. We also have my great-grandfather who drove the 29 mule team borax mines, and he did that. And so even though we go all the way back, there's some real characters in that history. On my dad's side of the family, my dad's story was always cloaked in a bit of shame. Like, and the story that I got from my dad and what my dad knew and what it kind of evolved through his whole life. My dad's parents were from Toledo, Ohio. In fact, my grandfather's father was one of the editors of the Toledo Blade, and he died early. and he had no life insurance. So my great grandmother had 3 kids, 3 girls and a boy, and over a short amount of time, she lost everything. She lost the home. She lost everything. She had to put my grandfather in an orphanage, and then she moved from Toledo, Ohio, to Southern California. And when she got herself set, she got herself taken care of. She got a job. She started doing hair, and when she got set, then she wired for my grandfather to come and join him. So by the early 20s, there were Rogers living in L.A., in Southern California. And they started building a life there. It was very different than the big house that they had in Toledo, Ohio. Um, it was different, but they had a great life. And my grandfather met my grandmother. She also did hair with my great grandmother, and they met. And she rented a room at my great grandmother's home, and that's how they met. And the story is that that my dad came along, and as I grew older, that story evolved radically. Well, it turns out what happened was that my dad was adopted. I didn't find that out until I was in my 20s. That my dad was adopted. And what happened was, to make a long, long story short that nobody in my family ever talked about, is a man came down from Canada looking for work, and my great aunt and he had a relationship. They had a little love affair, and she got pregnant. And there was so much hoopla about that she put my dad up for adoption, and my grandmother adopted him. My grandmother adopted him, but one of the caveats was it was never going to be discussed. So for all my dad's life, he knew at some point that he was adopted, but for all of his life, he never knew that his favorite aunt was also his biological mother. And so it wasn't until after both my grandfather and my grandmother passed that my aunt wrote my dad a note saying, "I'm your mother." And it blew his mind, right? His favorite aunt was also his biological mother. And it was an incredible story. And the family cloaked it in so much secrecy and shame, but it was actually it was a fabulous story. And today when I look at that story, I think about how much shame my great aunt went through, but that how much all of that created the whole Rogers family. I look at my brother and my sister and myself and all the experience that we had, and she held it as shame, but we're glad to be alive. And my dad, and now we've got, my dad had grandchildren, and now he would have had a great-grandchild. I have a grandchild. And what I want you to see is from that one experience that was held in so much shame actually created levels of life that are fabulous. See, life wants to be expressed. And today, what I want us to really look at are all the people and all the struggles and all the hardships and all the things that went south but still worked out, all the things that we were able to overcome to keep bringing life into this world. That life is an activity of God. And as we begin to celebrate life and we surround it in love, we get to remove the shame and just acknowledge all the good that came from that experience. That one affair that my great aunt had gave me my kids, gave me my grandchild. And I am so thankful every day for my great aunt's affair. And now that I'm saying this public, she is probably spinning in her grave right now. But I give thanks for it every day. I give thanks for the gift of life that she brought to me and to my brother and my sister and to my dad and to my children and to my grandchildren. I give thanks for all that. That today what I want you to see is how many times we have the opportunity to really give thanks for life. And one of the things that life doesn't always care about is how it comes into the world. You know, in our culture and our morals and our thing, we have some really clear parameters of how things are supposed to be and how it's all supposed to work, and this is right and this is wrong. But life is actually greater than that. Life just wants to be made manifest. Life just wants to be expressed. So who are the people today, as you give thanks, who are the people that help bring you into this world? Who are the people that sacrifice for the gifts that you're enjoying every day with the gift of life? And then I want us to also look at who are the people that taught you how to live, that didn't just bring you physically into this world, but they actually taught you how to live. Because over and over again, what I want you to see is that those people took the gift of life and made it into a living, right? Jesus said that I came that you might have life and have it more abundantly. And I think about all those moments in my life that took me from the life that I was living and took it up a notch. You know, I was always a spiritual kid. I was always interested in God and talking about spiritual ideas, and I would talk to my mom about spiritual ideas, and it was an important part of my life. And my mom thought, as I was reading more and more spiritual things, that it was time to take me back to church. You know, my church history as a kid, when we'd go for a while and then we wouldn't go for a while and we'd go for a while and we wouldn't go for a while. But at 14, as I was going into YOU and going into high school, my mom had such a great experience in high school youth ministry in the YOU that she wanted to make sure that I had it. And I absolutely did not want to go to high school church. I just didn't want to do it. I was nervous. I didn't want to do it. So I thought, well, I'll go to church, but I'm not going to youth group. I'm just going to go sneak in the back of church. And so as I'm walking into church, this teenager, a couple of years older than me, who was a cheerleader at another high school near ours, Michelle, came up and said, "Come on, let's go to youth group." And I thought, well, yes, let's go to youth group, right? And it was like, nobody ever explained it to me like that before. I never realized that youth group could be so great, that there were actually cheerleaders in church youth group. That was the best thing that ever happened to me. I went to youth group, and I was in. I was sold. I was done. In fact, I started bringing my buddies into youth church group because they were having so much fun, right? And so I give thanks for that moment. In fact, Michelle and I are still friends on Facebook. I literally know that she changed the course of my life. Now, when I become a minister, if Michelle hadn't grabbed me and led me into church group, maybe, probably, I don't know. But being around a group of kids that were talking about spiritual things, I had never had that before. I never knew that before. I had never heard kids talking about spiritual things in a way that I was feeling them in my own heart, in my own soul. And I give thanks for that. So here's what I want you to look at today. Here's where we're going. Today, I want you to give thanks for all the people that gave you life. All the people that worked generation after generation after generation, that struggled and dreamed of a possibility and worked to bring you into this world. And I also want you to look at all the people that truly taught you how to live. All the people that kept giving you a bigger vision of what could be. The people that came along maybe out of nowhere like Michelle and said, "What about this?" And then your life turns in a moment. That life is this interesting combination for me of life and then all the people that teach us how to live. So today what I want you to do is I want you to make a list of all the people that you knew that took to bring you into this moment, all the people that gave you life, and to give thanks for all the qualities that they gave you. You know, maybe you learned hard work for them or determination, or what are the qualities they gave you? And then I want you to make a list of all the things and all the people that taught you how to live. Because life is this interesting combination of life and the people that teach us how to live. And we actually need both. Because every week I want to inspire you to live in a greater way, even if it's just a little bit. I want us to be really, truly looking at how we live and how we could live in a greater way. That this life is a gift that we've been given by God. But how we live is really a personal choice that we all get to make. So let's take that into prayer. I invite you to open your mind, your heart, your soul to the activity of God that is right here, right now. And we give thanks for life, every bit of it. We give thanks for all that we've been through, the generation upon generations that it took to bring us into this moment. And we give thanks for all the people that have inspired us and taught us and shown us a greater way to live. That we don't take this gift for granted. That today we give thanks for life and for a life that's worth living. And so it is. Amen. All right, this is the time of giving of our gifts and tithes. I invite you to hold them in your hand as we bless them together. And even if you're going to give electronically, and thank you for all the people who are giving electronically during this time, we're going to hold these gifts in our hand. We're going to say together, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I give and all that I receive. One more time. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I give and all that I receive. God bless you, friend. Have a great week, and thank you for all the ways you're supporting our ministry. And this week I invite you to live and to live in a greater way.